Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome back to another episode of my Out of the Park 20 playthrough with the Phillies. We are at opening day for the 2043 season. Got through spring training last episode, made a few roster moves, nothing really too controversial or anything. We didn't lose anybody so far, which is good. One of the things though, I was kind of in some ways hoping somebody would pick up Murdoch Ings and give him a chance, but it looks like he may be back another season for us, and he's probably going to start out at AAA. Might get called up if I need him as the season goes on. If injuries happen, I think he's still good enough, especially in the bullpen. I think he can definitely do a good job there, but I'm kind of surprised nobody's picking him up. But I think again that just shows where the pitching is in this playthrough right now. It's really it's a lot easier to come by. So a 2.5 star reliever is probably not going to be picked up by any team right now. And then one of the things that I also did, and this might be controversial. I know some on the boards I've seen guys who kind of shy away from this, but I like to fill my minor league rosters up. If I've only got like 12 prospects showing, I like to go through, fill them up with fictional players. For some reason, I think the AI handles development better if you do it that way. And usually, you're only picking up scrub type players anyway. But occasionally, a few will come through, and I kind of treat this like, hey, it's a minor league free agent. You know, guy got another chance, at the majors. So I think it can be a good story. It's rare that one of those fictional players develops into a star in the league, but I've got the setting either disabled or enabled where that can happen. But one of the things I noticed is in AAA, this guy at only 25, when I went to fill that AAA roster at Lehigh Valley with fictional players, this guy was developed, and he's not a bad looking pitcher. I mean, he's a 3-star starter. Aside from his movement, all of his ratings look really good. I mean, 3 strong pitches, good stamina. Just 2.5 stars from OSA, but I'm going to keep an eye on this guy because he may have a chance to develop enough that I can trade him or may even call him up if, say, Dion or Gramajo struggle. But that's the pitching staff we're going to go with. I'll look at the team and then we'll get started. Maybe sim through first month here. So for the rotation, I usually go 5-man, set it to strict, on occasion highest rested. That usually over the course of a season, your number 1, number 2 starters might pick up a start or two, sometimes maybe more than they would otherwise if you just went with strict rotation. But I'm going with Thompson, Parker, Barbarossa, Dion, and then the rookie Gramajo. I am putting McAvee in the bullpen, and I don't know how long he's going to last there. It could be that if he doesn't produce, I may just have to eat the contract and give some other guys from AAA a chance, because we do have, the guy I just showed you, Buck, I think his name was, he's out there. And there's a few others who could contribute already, I think, at the major league level. So we're going to keep an eye on him. But the rest of the bullpen's about the same as it was last year. On the lineup side, we got the new catcher, McGee, 2.5 stars, decent defense. I'm hoping that he, has, I would settle for what he's done the last 2 years with Washington. I'm hoping he's a little bit better. But we're going to keep Cal up as a backup. He's going to DH when we get a chance to DH against the American League. I like his bat coming off the bench, but Paris is going to get most of the starts. Hopefully he stays healthy. Then Doughty at second. I'm going to platoon with Radebaugh against lefties, though. So Radebaugh for now is going to get the start against lefties. And then we got Gutierrez, Pritchard, Bond, Warlick. That's pretty much how it's going to go against lefties and righties. I think Atchison, I'm going to give him some chance at center field against lefties. But, I think I mentioned it last episode. My plan now is just to get through this season. Hopefully we can compete. I think at best we'll probably be competing for the wild card. I don't see us winning the division again, but I'm just going to hopefully get through this season and then have some money in the off season to fill some holes we need to and make one last good run at it for next season. But two things I like to look at before we start. Number one, I like to look at the minor league system rankings. Kind of gives us an idea of what kind of prospects we've got relative to the rest of the league. And right now we're towards the bottom in terms of how many prospects we have showing on the top 100 list. But we do have two. A pitcher who I think really looks pretty good. He's at Clearwater right now. If he just gets that control better, he might have a chance. If nothing else, he'll probably wind up in the bullpen. And then another pitcher, Tejada, who's going to be at short season A for now, but he may develop and get called up if he looks good there when he starts playing. But he has looked good in the minors so far. He was a scouting discovery. My scout doesn't really find too many 3+ potential stars in terms of their potential in the major league. So it's rare that you can see a guy the scout picks up that looks this good. I mean, OSA thinks he's 3.5 star potential, and really he's probably ready to pitch in the low A league right now. But I'm gonna leave him at Williamsport to start the season. And then the other thing I like to look at is preseason predictions, and I think this they come up with these by simming. The AI sims like multiple seasons, and then they kind of look at top performers and see how the average win-loss records are for these teams. So looking at this, the Yankees, Red Sox, who won the World Series last year, they'll make it in the East. Kansas City and Cleveland, with Chicago barely out in the Central, and then Seattle and Oakland. I guess it's going to be a tight race for the wild card the way it's looking here in the American League. Individual players, Granda, he's two-time MVP, could potentially do it again this year. That's pretty good numbers they've got picked for him. Dull going to have another good year in terms of batting average and production. On the pitcher side, don't really recognize any of these guys outside of Rocky Stromain. Espinoza, maybe. He's been around for a while. Stromain is now with Kansas City after pitching his whole career for Minnesota. 3.5 stars if he stays healthy. I think he's got some life in him. I mean, enough that he might get to 200 wins for his career. He's already over 2,000 strikeouts, but with that 5-time Cy Young, I think he's going to the Hall of Fame for sure. And then in the National League, they've got the Mets winning the National League East, and Phillies just at 500. Braves struggling too this year after last season's where they went to the World Series. And then St. Louis, Cincinnati in the Central, and then Arizona, Colorado, San Francisco in a pretty tight West. Individually, they think on our team Gene Warlick has a chance to have a good season. I hope he does. He's getting close to. We've got him for 2 more seasons if we want to keep him. There might be a chance if we've got some other options, he might be a good trade candidate middle of the season. But they've got Suzuki having another good season. Baird, Howard, those are guys who've been showing up for a while in the last few years. Trujillo as well in Colorado. And Savello, who's with the Mets this year, former MVP. Coming off 33 home runs, 93 RBIs last year, but his average is pretty low. One of the things, though, you gotta like about him is the amount of walks that he draws. So he's going to have a pretty consistently, I'd say, above average wins above replacement. So that was a good pickup for the Mets, probably, but not at $25 million. I don't think I would have swung. I don't think I would have gambled on that. And then pitching wise, they've got Zach Thompson having a pretty so-so year. I don't know if he got injured in some of these playthroughs, but only 31 starts, 11 wins. ERA just around 3 and 247 strikeouts. So he may have a letdown after that Cy Young award, if this is any indication. I hope it's not. But we're going to go ahead now and get started. We'll play. Oh, Quartang is eligible to come off. And I'm going to start him. Let me see how his injury rating is. It's fragile. And the problem is Jim Winder is a better backup. So I don't know what to do with Quartang at this point. But I'm probably going to start him on a rehab assignment, and we'll just see how the catching situation looks when he's ready to come off that. All right, so now we don't have a game for a while, so we'll get started a little bit later. Look at the news so far. And Kondashera, the former Philly, who I don't know that we traded him. I think we let him go. Yeah, he was an I guess a free agent, but he's injured. Looks like not too bad though. Just a weak injury, or he's out for a week. And I probably have a couple guys who are ready to. Yeah, Murdoch Ings ready to go back to AAA. He did not get picked up by another team, and now just gonna sim data. We're starting out at New York, so that's going to be an early test for us. But we are at home, so game one, we lose 2-4. Damn, and that's probably going to be Thompson, who I've got in that number one spot in the rotation. But some good offense at the top of the line, lineup: Bond, Doughty, Pritchard, multiple hits. Thompson pitched a good game, 6 innings, just 2 runs, 10 Ks. Hadakayama, boy, he can do this occasionally, but he blew this one in the ninth inning, it looks like, and they wound up winning it. Hopefully he doesn't do that too much this year. And we lose game 2, 3-5. Bond again, 2 for 4. If he repeats what he did last year, this guy, he's down to 2 stars. I don't know. It's definitely his ratings that are really solid against right-handed pitching that's going to give him the numbers, but I can't see him having a year like he had last year. So Hadakayama, 2 losses now. 2 runs in each of these games. That's not a good sign. And then game 3, we lose 1-5. So we're swept by New York. Barbarossa didn't look good here. McAvee looked okay in relief. But man, that's a bad start to the season. And rankings-wise, we're near the bottom, 27th. But that's just, through 3 games, so nothing to really panic about right now. Not much on the waiver wire early either. Now the second big test of the season, but it's just 2 games on the road against Atlanta. Game 1, we finally win, first win of the year. Doughty, the big offensive hero, drove in both runs. And then Ken Dion, very strong outing from him. 7 innings, just 1 earned run, 7 Ks. And Hadakayama gets his first save. And then game 2, another win, 3-1. Pritchard off to a pretty decent start here. And then Zach Thompson, his first win, another good outing from him. 8 innings, just 1 run. And Hadakayama picked up his second save. So that was a pretty good series then. But now we've got Detroit, it looks like. 3 games at home against Detroit. Game 1, we win 3-1. We have been pitching really well so far. George got the start here at center and didn't look too good. I am playing him against righties every 6th game, I think. I may alter that if Bond keeps playing well. And then Parker got the win, 8 strong innings. Hadakayama's 3rd save. Game 2, another 3-1 to win. Man, our pitching is looking good so far. Doughty, 2 for 4. George started in left field and was 2 for 3. Barbarossa didn't get the win but looked good. And then Hadakayama, 4th save, on pace for 93. Don't see that happening, but he's turned it around a little bit. Now, game 3, can we sweep them? We do, a 6-0 shutout. Gutierrez good in this game. Warlick 2 for 4. He's off to a pretty decent start. And then Gramajo, his first ever start in the major leagues, 7 shutout innings. I'm hoping that's a sign of more to come from this guy, and I'm hoping that he develops. You look at his numbers here, if you can see this, at Lakeland and Lehigh Valley, he looked really good in the minor leagues. So I just hope he gets a little bit more development in like movement and control, and he'll be really good to go. So Mike Morrison, former Philly, gone for the year at Cincinnati. I think that was a big signing for them. I think, well, not a lot of money, but I think they were probably hoping that he'd be a closer for them. Pat Hammersley from Oakland out for the year. And Players of the Week, Joe Kostinko, a former MVP, still playing at Boston. He's off to a great start for them. And then National League, it went to Irizarry at Washington. And as far as power rankings, we've moved up quite a bit. We're all the way up to 7th. We're 5-3. Miami, though, off to a good start, 8-2. Didn't see that coming. And then you look at the waiver wire, some pretty decent pitchers here. 2-pitch pitcher, I don't know that I would go for him. But standings-wise, Miami's looking good. Cincinnati, 6-4, not too bad. Arizona looking good. And then Boston, really looking good in the East. Then Cleveland and Houston, Angels, Athletics really struggling in the American League West. I'm not seeing any, except for saves with 4 there at Hakayama, I'm not seeing any Phillies showing up on the leaderboards. But we got another tough series against Atlanta, but we're at home. Game 1, we lose 2-5. Steve Bond, his average has dipped a little bit, so he's starting to struggle a little bit. Ken Dion, pretty rough outing here, 5 innings and 6 2/3. McAfee, though, two innings in relief, no runs so far this year. Game 2, we lose 3-4. Let me see, what have I got here? I didn't see what the... Oh, he's got 1 day left. I'm gonna waive this guy and see if anybody picks him up. That's fine. It'll save us some money. But if I look at how the 2 catchers are doing right now, not good. But I just think it's a crapshoot at this point, and I'll give these guys the look over Quartang at this point if somebody picks him up. But now game 2 against Atlanta, Dowdy, who's off to a good start, he was 3 for 5. Thompson didn't get the loss, but didn't look as sharp either. So we're at 500 now after that good start. And now game 3, can we salvage a win here? And we don't. Atlanta sweeps us at home, lost 2-4. Radeball got the start and was 2 for 5, looked pretty good. Parker, a good outing, really, 7 innings, 2 earned runs, but Uribe struggled in the bullpen. So now we're going up against Miami, who's hot, and we're going to be on the road. Atlanta, man, they really moved up on us with that sweep. So game 1 against Miami, we lose 2-3. So now we're really getting into some tough losses. Dowdy again with a couple hits, but Barbarossa did not look bad. 7 innings, 2 runs, but Hakayama, 3rd loss in the bullpen. Can't have that happen. Game 2, 6-1. We're struggling. Gutierrez, about the only good offense. Well, Gramajo, who picked up his first loss in the major leagues. Wasn't great. 4 runs in 5 innings. But we're struggling offensively. I'll take a look at the numbers here in a minute, team-wise. But game 3, can win. I think that's about 7 or 8 in a row that we've lost. So Paris, who's struggling so far, hitting 159. He had a good game here, but I think we're really, really struggling offensively. Dion, 6 innings, 4 earned runs. So looking at the news now, Players of the Week went to Chris Beck in Kansas City and Chris Morgan for Chicago. But rankings-wise, we're all the way down to 25th again. And you look at the standings, we've lost 6 in a row. I thought it was worse than that. So we've been really streaky so far. And if you look at our team statistics, pitching is, we're middle of the pack in a lot of things. But offense, we are struggling. And I thought that was probably going to be the case. I mean, do I really want to put Quarteng in there? I mean, is he a better offensive fit than some of these other guys? Let me take a look at who I've got to catch. So I've got Winder, who has 1 option year left, and McGee. I just think they're both rated better. I may even try to trade him. And let's see if I can get any kind of interest if I try to trade him away. As valuable as catching is right now, I might have a chance. It looks like Warlick is injured. Unless he will accept a minor league assignment, which I don't think he will. No, I think I'm going to have to let him go. That kind of sucks. Well, I know I'm wavering here, but Winder has struggled. I'm going to see if he will go to AAA, and then I'm going to put Quarteng in there and give him the start like every 5th game against righties. Let me see, what's wrong with Warlick here? We don't know yet. That always scares me. And then against lefties, if the starter's tired, I'll let him Quarteng go. All right, and I'll also probably have Quarteng backing up at first. Well, I didn't want to do that. I don't know if he can play first. No, he's not rated there, but I'll try him if I have to. All right, so we're going to be against Washington. I want to check the waiver wire, though. All right, so Washington kind of down there with us, 6-9. This would be a good series to get back on track. Game 1, we win 5-2, but there's the news on Warlick. He is going to be gone for 4 to 5 weeks, and let me see. He was struggling a little bit too, to be honest. I think the whole offense is struggling right now, but I'm going to be losing him now for 6 weeks or so. Let me check the waiver wire just to make sure there's nothing showing there. How about free agency? Any outfielders? There are several who are showing up. I got Ken Keith, although he's wrecked as well. Ty Lucy. Problem I don't have really any money to give these guys, so I'm gonna just go with what I got. And that's probably going to be Villalobos for now. George, though, is going to get the start. And that means Atchison is going to get some time backing up here because... And then Villalobos, however you say that... and I'll probably, let's see, George. I like his speed. I'm going to move it up like this. All right. And then Villalobos is going to be the pinch runner to replace George. And then, gosh. All right, so that's against righties. Against lefties, I'll probably put Atchison in there. And then Villalobos is going to be backing up. Or does he bat left? He does. Holy cow. I thought he batted right. All right, so it's going to be George backing up these guys. With Villalobos playing in the third spot. And then Villalobos has some speed, so I'll put him off the bat or off the bench running. Wow. All right, so now one last thing I got to do. So George will be starting against. And I think I'm just gonna leave this lineup against righties as it is. I'm only gonna play them if they're tired, and that means Villalobos is gonna be slotted here, and I'm gonna place George there. And then last thing, Atchison playing right. Does Atchison have some? He doesn't really have any power, so we'll do it that way. And then I think I had George. There's probably a better way to do this, I know. And then running here and then hitting here. All right, there we go. Just want to move that around, and then there we go. So let's hope we can get through this injury. So now, I don't know if I took a look at this game, though. 5-2. Doughty, another good game. He's off to a great start in 354. Paris, 3 for 4. And Zach Thompson picked up his second win, 6 innings, just 2 earned runs. So he's on pace for 18. I'd like to see 18 from him again. That'd be nice. Now game 2 against Washington, 3-5. Gutierrez got the start, leading off 2 for 3. Steve Bond 2 for 4. He's struggling though. Parker, not a bad outing. Davis though gave up 3 runs in relief, and then. Here's the rubber game. If we can win this, we'll win the series. And it's rained out. So now we're going to be playing San Diego. And looks like they're off to a terrible start, 4-15. So this is a 4-game series. We need to pick up some ground here. So game 1, we win 5-1. Pat Branke, a guy I'm hoping is going to make it to the majors. He's injured at Lehigh Valley. But game 1, we win 5-1. George, couple hits here. That's good to see. Doughty. Gutierrez, who's having a pretty good start. Barbarossa, his first win of the year, but he looked good. 7 innings, just 1 run. Now, game 2 against San Diego, 11-2. Big win here. Pritchard scored a couple, but he's struggling, 214 average on the year. And then Paris drove in 3. Atchison getting a start in right field, looks like, and had a good game. Gramajo, his second win, 1 earned run in 5 innings. Good to see from him. Game 3 against San Diego, another win, 3-2. Bond was 3 for 5. Vega 2 for 4. He's struggling as well. Ken Dion didn't get the decision. 6 innings though, 1 earned run, 8 Ks. Hadakiyama, what a mystery he's being so far. On pace for 26 losses, but 51 saves. ERA up there too, pretty high. So one more win and we'll sweep the 4-game series. And we do in extra innings, 5-4. So we needed that. We needed that really badly. Rated ball looking good here, 3 for 6. I think he's about to win that starting base job if I can if I can somehow trade Doughty away. McGee, catcher, had a good game, 4 for 6. Thompson, 7 innings, 4 runs. Didn't get the decision here. So now we'll look at the news. Joe Durr, he's hitting 20 straight games. Players of the week, Josh Michael at Boston, Pedroza at Milwaukee. Power rankings, we moved up to 14th, so we're kind of middle of the pack right now with that 500 record. But we've won 4 straight against a very weak team. San Diego having one of the worst starts I've seen in a while, 4-19, but so's Detroit, 4-16. We still don't have anybody outside of Thompson now on the leaderboard, though. I'd like to see a little bit more representation there now. Checking the waiver wire, still just pitchers for the most part. A decent looking center fielder, but I don't like his contact rating. It's pretty low. So now we're going to go up against Washington and Miami. Probably the last week we go through in this episode here. Game 1, 3 to 6. Can't beat a good team, looks like. Doughty, another good game from him. Paris, Vega, a couple hits. Parker struggled, 6 earned runs in 4 2/3 innings. But how about McAvee? Only 5 games, 6 innings, but no runs so far. So it looks like he's settling into that bullpen for the most part. Now, game 2 against Washington, we lose 2-3. That was a tough game. Another big injury there in Lehigh Valley. So, see how we lost this one. Vega, a couple RBIs, but Paris really struggling here, hitting 192. And then pitching Barbarossa, another good game, just 1 earned run in 6 innings. But we're struggling all up and down the line now. And then game 3 against Washington, we salvage a win, but had to do it in extra innings, 6-4. Doughty, one more good game from him, 3 for 6. Paris, couple hits here. Vega, a couple hits. Gramajo, 5 innings, but just 2 earned runs. Not too bad. I mean, for the most part, he's looked okay. But, man, Hadakiyama blew the save here. Did pick up the win. McAvee got the save. That's unusual, I guess. But Hadakiyama's really struggling right now. And so now we got a 4-game series at home against Miami, who they're still playing tough, 16-8. Game 1, we win 4-3 in extra innings, so it looks like extra innings is where we're winning now. A couple hits from Bond, George, Pritchard, Ken Dion, another good outing. He's been a tough luck pitcher so far. And then McAvee really getting some use there in the bullpen. Another shutout performance, 3 innings this time. And I'm going to look at the news before we continue. It's into the month here. So anything big? Ian Norman out again. I don't wish the guy bad. You know, I hope his career didn't just tank right now. But I'm feeling better and better about this trade, even though Paris is struggling this year. So, players of the month. Chris Lewis for Minnesota had a pretty decent year. Suzuki at Arizona. No surprise to see him on some leaderboards. He's off to another good year. Pitchers, Luis Vargas, Toronto, for the American League. Chris Nichols, good reliever there at Colorado in the National League. Rookies of the month, Lane Hackmar at Texas and Juan Ilis at Colorado. All right, so game 2 against Miami, 5-0 shutout win here. I hope this is Thompson. Pritchard had a couple hits. Vega a couple of hits. He's starting to hit a little bit better right now. Thompson got his 3rd win, 7 1/3 shutout innings, 7 strikeouts. Still on pace for 18 wins. And then game 2 against Miami, rained out, going to be a doubleheader. And we win the doubleheader. Great series. And we sweep the 4-game series, and that puts us a half game now behind Miami. Let's look at how we did it. Game 1, 6-2. Bond, 2 hits. Pritchard, Vega, 2 hits, but Vega drove in 4 runs. A good game from him. Parker did not get the win, but he gave us 7 good innings. Hadakiyama's 3rd win. And then game 2, Gutierrez, Paris, multiple hits. Vega looks like a big home run probably to win it. He's up to 5 home runs, on pace for 30. And then Barbarossa, the hard luck pitcher probably of the league. 8 innings, no runs, 11 Ks. His ERA is at 167 for the year, and he has just 1 win. Man, I hate to see that for him because he has been one of the most productive pitchers I've had in the last 4 years, really. So he's putting up better numbers than he's ever put up. Still just at 6 wins. So let's look at the end of the week awards. Players of the week, Chris Reimer for New York. I think he's a former MVP. He is. And then Vega for the Phillies. He did have a good week. 11 for 30, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs. And power rankings were all the way up to 9th. But that was a good week. Mainly that series against Miami. But we've won 5 in a row, 8 of 10. Hopefully we're turning it around for real. I mean, hopefully that's not just kind of an aberration. But I look at where we are as a team. Pitching is starting to come into line with, the way it's been the last few seasons. But we've got to get a little bit better offensively. And I think the big thing is the big guys aren't performing. Paris really struggling. Pritchard, who was an MVP candidate last year, he's struggling, hitting 213. And Steve Bond, I knew there was going to be some tail off, and he is hitting just 265. But that's still, for his age and that position, that's productive enough. So I'll weather that, I guess. I'll stick with it. Gutierrez not doing too bad. And then Radeball really looking good in limited starts. But I'm going to have to keep a close eye on the offense as we go forward. I'm going to sim ahead like I usually do through the draft and pick it up after that, and then go through the All-Star game in the next episode. At this point, if we win the East, it's going to be a miracle. But if we make the playoffs, I'm going to be, even as a wild card, I'll be extremely happy with this team because, like I say, the plan is to get through this one as competitive as we can, and then pick up some pieces when we lose Parker and McAvee, have all that money left over to get us one more good World Series run. But as always, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy it, and I will see you next episode.